Viral particles binds to ACE2 receptor. RNA genome enters a cell of the host. The RNA is positive in strand sense. The host ribosomes translate the mRNA that is entered into polyproteins. These polyproteins are formed in the host cell. These are the polyproteins. This polyprotein then will be cleaved by M-Pro protease of the viral origin to give active peptides more than 3, but other structure in RDRP, RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. This RNA-dependent RNA polymerase will then translate the RNA and make more RNAs, replicate the RNAs and make more RNAs. And by a discontinuous synthesis, it will produce more RNAs of different length to make different proteins. Some of them will make the outer shell of the virus, some will make other parts of the components of the virus. Ultimately, it releases out from the goblet cell.
Things like this are not true, because if you get COVID-19 or if the virus cell attacks you, basically it attacks the goblet cell in your lungs and airways, okay, the tracheal paths. Now what happens is that as it encounters the goblet cell, what it does is that it uses your machinery or your machinery to suffice itself. Now there is one thing: if this kind of virus attacks, there is not much mortality rate. The mortality rate is only 3%, and in some cases it is just slight bigger than 3%. And in cases where government have they have taken essential measures, the mortality rate is even less than that. Now one thing, do we have any kind of drugs to treat it? For now there is no such drugs. For example, we have some prophylactic drugs, like for example hydroxychloroquine, we have chloroquine. In some cases also we are using something known as the quercetin dihydrate, and these drugs are taken along with zinc supplements, because zinc ionophores, they are very much essential for blocking the RDRPs, the RNA dependent RNA polymerases, and the replication process of these RNAs in case of the virus. So that's how it is helping to fight the virus essentially. Now in case of other things like I am talking about, there are drugs which are going through clinical trials. For example, remdesivir, I've already told about this in my channel previously. So what is remdesivir? It's basically an adenosine analog. What happens is that whenever you are thinking about the RNA, it contains adenosine nucleotides in lot amount, okay. For example, any gene contains A, T, C, G, okay. They are or in case of RNA, if you are considering that, then it contains U, okay. Now what happens is that these bases are arranged in different conformations and different sequences and patterns, so that they give rise to essentially genes, and those genes are essentially used for making different kind of functional proteins, not bogus proteins but functional proteins, which are helpful in the entry and in other case of the virus. Now in this case, the remdesivir is basically an adenosine analog. So what happens is that RDRP, as you know, it's very error prone enzyme. It does more error than DNA polymerase and all kind of host enzymes that we have. So initially I have shown you a clip where I have shown that how this thing enters. So basically it's just kind of animation of how it enters. Now after entering, there is something known as that RDRP. Now that RDRP, basically it cannot distinguish between the adenosine and the adenosine analog remdesivir. So what happens is that it accidentally incorporates adenosine analog remdesivir in case of the adenosine, and this causes a major mutation in the genome of the virus. Now this mutation is basically triggered to make the virus inactivate as a whole. So we have remdesivir for example. We do have prophylactic drugs like, now for example, hydroxychloroquine and the chloroquine. Also in some cases and in some continents is replaced by something known as the quercetin dihydrate, and all these drugs with zinc supplements is basically a very much good remedy. Why? Because I have already told you that zinc, being an ionophore, it helps in replication blockage of the cell of the virus actually with the help of the zinc ionophores, and these zinc ionophores target the replication process of this kind of viruses, the RNA viruses I am talking about in this case. Along with that, we also have different kind of other drugs. For example, the new study puts 3 drugs, combination of 3 drugs. The lopinavir is basically a protease inhibitor. You know that in case of virus cells, in my previous animation before this video, I have shown you about the M-Pro, 3CL Pro PALPRO. These are three kind of proteases that the virus SARS-CoV-2 encodes. Now, MPRO is major target for different kind of drugs. According to docking studies presented by ZINC database, there are many natural and artificial compounds which can actually help in preventing this protease activity. And this protease is very much essential because in the animation I've shown you that the polyprotein that is produced is basically a large chunk of protein which needs to be cleaved, and this cleavage gives different kind of small proteins which are active. Okay, so what happens is that in case of lopinavir ribavirin, okay, lopinavir, the drug, basically it is basically a protease inhibitor. Ritonavir is basically a half-life increaser of the lopinavir, because lopinavir gets inactivated very easily because of the cytochrome P450 enzyme. The oxidation of this drug is very much quick in the body. So ritonavir actually essentially stops this oxidation by cytochrome P450. And also apart from that we have along with this we have the ribavirin. Okay, so these three drugs in combination can actually help in fighting the virus, that we know actually. But in some cases, as you know, these all three drugs are also combined with something which is basically an IV incorporation of interferon gamma, not interferon gamma, interferon beta actually. So what happens is that this interferon beta helps in producing an antiviral state or response in your body, is essential for blocking the virus, because as you know this virus produces different kind of proteins. Now in the clip I have shown that there are three different, like others I have mentioned, RDP I mentioned, structural proteins I have mentioned. Those other protein part basically helps in deactivating the defense system of your cell by your cell basically tries to produce an antiviral state, and these other proteins that I have mentioned in my clip basically helps in reducing those antiviral state produced by your host cell or by your own cells. So this is how it works basically. Next we'll be talking about the vaccines. Now in case of vaccines, we have different vaccines. As a result, different vaccines are produced, like the one I have already mentioned, like the ChAdOx1 vaccine. Okay, it was developed by Dr. Sarah Gilbert and it is currently going under trial. I'm sorry, but outside my house is very noisy right now. So what happens is that Dr. Sarah Gilbert, she actually made this this vaccine for the COVID-19, the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And also this vaccine is actually tested against the meningitis causing vaccine, that is the MenACWY, which is pretty much given in US countries, like US and US of A and everything. But so we are testing drugs like this, vaccines like this. They are under study, but we may require more time for getting these vaccines marketed and actually for our usage. Different studies are also coming out. Those studies are dealing with how you can actually manipulate and produce using bioinformatics tool, how you can produce mRNA from the spike protein. Those can be actually artificially made in vitro and then incorporated or injected into cells like the yeast cells, for example, or in case of human cells also. And those cells can be programmed such that they are producing a spike protein, and those spike protein will be identified in your body as a foreign substance and they will be killed. Because as you know, in your immune system, everything that is outside your body or everything that is going inside your body from the outside world is considered foreign, and thus this was the essential basis of producing this kind of spike protein in models using the bioinformatics tool. So that is how it works. Apart from that, we also have some antibodies, monoclonal antibodies like the 47D11 that I've already said about previous. Monoclonal antibodies work is that in case of 47D11, basically it's an artificially made antibody, monoclonal antibody, which particularly targets the spike protein, the receptor binding domain, the RBD of the spike protein. This receptor binding domain of the spike protein actually binds to the AC. For example, this is spike protein, and suppose these fingers over here is basically the receptor binding domain, and suppose this is the ACE receptor, this is the ACE receptor. So basically this receptor binding domain will interact with this spike protein. Although in case of mechanisms it is very complex than what I have just showing over here, because there is a particular flap of the AC protein that if it goes in the upward position, then that the receptor binding domain of the ACE2 and that of the spike protein will interact. If that thing does not go up, then it will not interact. But these are the things of something known as the protein dynamics actually. But essentially that 47D11 is very much potent for binding the monoclonal antibody. The monoclonal antibody is basically very potent for binding the spike protein of the viruses, okay, in the receptor binding domain of the viruses. And this can be essentially a very good tool which we can use for developing different kind of monoclonal antibody treatment, or different kind of antibody treatment can be based on this finding as well. Another question that I get often is that if this COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 virus will affect cells other than your lung cells. Basically yes. Why? ACE2, these receptors are not only present in our lung cells. Actually in lung cells it is only present in very small amount. The receptors are maximal in number in your GI tract. In your GI tract, as well as they are present in your for example kidneys. For example, it's also present in your in case of males also testis and seminal vesicle areas. So they are present over there also. So there can be an interaction of the virus particles with those parts of the body. Even the evidence for the GI tract infection was first observed when a particular researcher, I forgot his name, but he was actually testing the feces of the infected patient for the coronavirus, and he found it. Rather, for different kind of patients he found the same result, which concluded that this virus may be able to infect the GI tract of the patients as well. So this kind of things happens because of the ACE2 receptors. Those ACE2 receptors are present all over in our body, and wherever they are present they are prone to be attacked by the viruses. Now we can do one thing, is that we can actually make some recombined ACE2 receptors and we can artificially inject them in the body, so that basically before the virus binds to the host ACE2, it binds to that modeled ACE2 and it gets basically no function and it basically dies. But this study that I am talking about is not totally accurate, because it's through study, it's under the process of development, so I am not going to talk much about that. But if the evidence comes to me, then I will surely post about this. Okay, so the next thing that I will like to talk about is basically the misinformation. Now there are many people spreading different kind of misinformation about the viruses, that this can cause this can cause this. But there is something you have to note. There is a positive side and negative side to a picture. Okay, for example, in this kind of cases the mortality rate is only 3%. So out of 100 people, only 3 persons are dying, statistical wise, figuratively. So 97 people are getting through this infection, only 3 people are dying. Statistically saying, it's a very much major win towards the positive side and not towards the negative side. But yeah, I will just say this, that it has a very high infection rate, and that is essentially true. Also this infection rate which is high, basically you die because of your own immune system. You have to remember this. I am saying this from the very first day of my video with coronaviruses, that in case of this kind of viruses, your own immune system is triggering, and that's the reason you are drowning in your own body fluids. Your bronchioles are getting inflamed, your lungs is ultimately getting inflamed, and your chest X-ray shows big holes in your lungs, which is basically an inflamed lungs, you can say, or pneumonitic lungs, you can say. Now there is also a thing that the media actually is trying to make sure that you are getting the negative vibes from this kind of event. But no, there are negative and positives. We have to focus on positive things. 97 people are living, 3% of them are dying. Only 3 people out of 100 people are dying. So 3 people dead, 97 people alive. That's a statistical significance. You are not dying so much. In case of old persons also, there are different old persons who are getting revived from this kind of infections, and they are returning home. So it's basically, if you are having different kind of immunomodulatory substance in your body, if you can cope up with that, you will live. And also the immune system differs from one person to another. So if you follow everything that you need to follow according to CDC and WHO, and also if you are following your government's instructions and protocols, there is no much need to worry about this kind of pandemic situation right now. Just stay at home and just stay focused on your own work, nothing else. You don't have to worry so much about this kind of things. The last question I will be answering in this video is coronavirus only a single strain, or it contains different strains? Now there is a problem over here. If I am talking about strains, I am talking about a significant difference in the genome. But in case of in case of coronaviruses, the SARS-CoV-2, the novel coronavirus, it's not that strains are changing. I know previously I've also said that there are different strains roaming around the continent, but recent studies have found they are not that much significant mutations to be called as strains, but rather we can call lineages. The lineages are different. For example, there are lineages like D and L, okay, D and G. Different lineages of viruses are found. These are basically this D and G and everything. They are named according to the amino acid changes in the virus. So let's talk about that. For example, in case of the D ones, we have got the aspartic acid residue in the spike protein, the binding domain, so the RBD domains actually. So in case of G or L, the particular amino acid this letter codes, you have that. For example, in case of W, the particular amino acid it codes, basically you have that. Aspartic acid residues, glycine residues, okay. These residues are different in different lineages again, not strain. But these lineages, do they serve any kind of benefit to the virus? Like this change in amino acid from aspartic acid to glycine, does this actually provides any kind of beneficiary role to the virus? We are not sure about that, but let's just say that it shows transmission rates higher in different amino acid combinations. Okay, for example, the one which is having aspartic acid residues are sometimes more potent than the one having glycine residues, and this differs continuously. We cannot say that what combination of amino acid makes it more transmissible, but we can generalize this term that this is more transmissible than the SARS virus of 2003. Okay, that China outbreak, the SARS virus of 2003, is basically more transmissible than that. Okay, it's first point I will be talking about. Next is that if these viruses are actually having different kind of lineages, which lineage is the most potent one? Actually speaking, they are all same. The mortality rate just differs slightly in different continents. It's not like that one continent is having 10% mortality and the other have only 3.2% or 2.1%. It's not going like that. It's basically on the same line of from 3.0 to 3.5, or rather 2.9 to 3.5%. So not that much mortality rate. I am speaking if your government is doing publishing reports accurately. If that is not the case, then the mortality rate may fluctuate. That's not my concern, because whatever I have read in paper and journals, it says that mortality rate rises between the 2.9 to 3.5%, and that is not significant according to different continents, because in many continents it revolves around this 2.9 to 3.5%. So basically this virus is not getting that much benefit, but it is very much destructive because it is very much infectious in nature. Okay, the original SARS virus was not that much infectious like the virus we have now. So we can just conclude by saying that if you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel, share this video with as many people as you can. And I know that in these videos I am trying to make this a little funny. If you like this, please share, please subscribe. It means a lot to me, and I'm just going to give a target. Get this video to at least 100 likes. Please just do it for me. Please give me 100 likes for this video. And in general, don't have to fear and don't have to panic. Everything will be okay if you are following your instructions and if you are staying true at your home. And also keep your protections and always wash your hands. Like every 1 hour or 2 hours, just go and wash your hands with soap. You can use sanitizer, but the best thing will be to wash your hands with soap. And also at least maintain 13 to 14 feet distance from one person to another, such that you are maintaining a good social distance and good hygiene practice overall. Because as you may notice, this thing may live with us. Okay, we have to develop either herd immunity, or we have to develop vaccine, or we have to develop some medication. As these are on trials, so we have to rely on ourselves. For this video, I would like to conclude. Molbiolect or Molecular Biology Nerd is out. So please subscribe to my channel. Molecular Biology Nerd out. Stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy.